if I'm going to spend 40 years with somebody, I want that to be a meaningful sort of relationship. So I don't want to have that much power. I want to be with an equal person. So I'm going to move back from this power voluntarily and release it, and naturally she would take that up, and then I will be in the position I am today, which is, and I cannot go effectively unless she agrees. How many of you agree with that analysis? I am not surprised. So if I didn't want to give up the power, why did I? You got it. It's not hard to figure, is it? In other words, I didn't want to at all. I can give you a very coherent argument which is absolutely false. I didn't want to at all. But the fact was, if I want to get to 43 years, and it's very convenient so far to be in this arrangement, so I don't want to do anything to totally destroy it. I might stretch it a bit, but I'm not going to destroy it, right? So I'm going to do it differently so that I can get what I want cleverly in a way that will work. And I'll get what I want, but I won't destroy the relationship in the process. In other words, I will still get what I need out of this, but I'll just find different techniques to be in charge. Anyone want to buy that? Without doubt. In this analysis it would, yeah.
Clearly she's decided that she's worked your little method out. She's letting you think that you...
Have you met her already, have you? You must know. By the way, she's a psych, so look out. She knows exactly what I'm doing, and if she didn't want me to go, I won't be going anywhere. So, the question is, and this applies to teachers as well, whether I wanted to change the power distribution, because we all acknowledge it's changed, and it has changed. The question is, do we want that to happen? Do we want that to happen? Is it a case of have to? She or they, if it's a teacher, are making me do things differently, because if I want to be a teacher in this year, I have to do it differently than I would have done it 50 years ago, and they're making sure I do, because if I don't, it doesn't work anyhow, and I'm in deep trouble, because they're just going to resist me. If I stand up and tell them they're going to do what I say, they're going to laugh at me. So, and same in my relationship or your relationship with the kids, is it a case of have to? You have to? Or maybe it's a case of ought to. I don't really want to. I don't have to. But I think I ought to. So it's not quite want. I believe that there is a case for it, which people are making to me. And as a teacher, as a professional, they're defining this kind of behaviour as professional. So I will engage in this kind of behaviour because I want to be a professional teacher, even if I don't want to do it and I don't believe in it. And I don't feel like I could do it without it, but you know, I don't have to do it, but I will do it because that's what they say teaching is. This is a really, really complicated bit of metacognition. And I think this is actually quite critical. So I will challenge you over the next, month effectively, to take page 3 and think about you. Because when I do summer schools, we do this 5 days straight. It's really very difficult, because I think that's probably why my theory is that people feel they have to and they don't want to share this power, which is why when they're pushed, they revert right back to something quite aggressive in some cases, because that's what they really believe. So if you read through that page really carefully, your job would be to find 3 numbers that add up to 100 and put 1 number in each of those 3 boxes and make sure that the 3 numbers add up to 100. Now, it's a very artificial activity because these things are not discrete. They are actually overlapping, but it doesn't matter. It's a very fun thing to do, especially if you've got a parent, if you're a parent of an adolescent. It'll make a lot of sense to you. So just read through it and ask me any questions you need to ask about what I'm asking, but try it out, see what happens. I'll be interested to see what's on your table. What I'm going to share with you is what I've just been sharing overseas in a conference, because it's really interesting and it has a lot to say about staff support, I think. But before I do, I'll just show you something I've got here. This was a Year 8 student commenting on how he felt in class. He felt like this when his teacher looked like that, and the book was closed. So he wrote me a bad day, couldn't write, so he had to do it like that. Bad day and a good day. The good day, he's happy, his teacher's happy, of course, and the book's open. And it sort of summarises in a way, I thought it was rather cute because it summarises in 2 pictures what I've been talking about. That if we can present to these students a sort of humane or adult persona, then they're likely to stay adult and stay learning. That's what I'm hoping. And we'll find out. Okay, so what I'm looking at now is something quite different. I am going to take some of the stuff that I've done and ignore the highly technical part of it because you don't need to worry about it. That's a measurement of student misbehaviour. In our research, that predicts the teacher's level of concern about classroom management. Not a big surprise there, right? We then thought, okay, does that level of concern predict these techniques? What would you think? If a teacher, on average, of all the teachers in this room and out there in the system, on average, because it's got 500 or so in, I think, no, 300. If a teacher is more concerned about discipline, we already know they're going to turn to aggression to some extent, true? What else? What else is that concern going to sort of trigger? So we did the analysis. And we were surprised by the result, and that's why I went and continued in this area. We noted that, independent of the level of concern, aggression was triggered by the behaviour. So even if it didn't consciously get through to being concerned, I don't know what that means. It's like, you know, they have the automatic responses via the spinal cord. It doesn't go through the conscious process. It's sort of like it's an automatic response to misbehaviour. When it sort of increases, teachers will become stroppy, but they haven't even processed it as concern. And it's sort of like someone said, it's like an automated response for some people. And that was the first thing we noticed, which is really weird. And then we noticed that it also predicted punishment, so those responses weren't even coming out of concern. So it wasn't a conscious concern, whatever that means. And I haven't understood this fully enough to deal with it. I've just observed it. So independent of the teacher's level of concern, they still turned to aggression and punishment or coercive discipline in the face of misbehaviour, without expressing that they are more concerned than other teachers about this stuff. So that was interesting. When you then went through concern, it had a small prediction of aggression, and that was it. So this is a sort of a more complicated version of the previous one. And I'm not quite sure how to understand it, but I'm going to take you somewhere with it. I'll show you where I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you to a point where I think eventually we have to talk about how to teach teachers about coping. It's a whole new thing that I'm opening up. And I don't know if it's going to be relevant, or maybe down the track we'll actually do something with this. So, basically, if you're teachers who are more concerned, they use slightly more aggressive classroom management, and regardless of their expressed level of concern, when they're thrown into more badly behaved classes, they get a coercive. Okay, that was fine. So if I said to you, let's try this, write some down. What do you find most stressful? Write a few down. The things that you personally, or you think others even in your school would do, what kind of management things are most stressful to you? I'm happy if you just call them out, if you're game, but